Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great day today. Wow, so many things to talk about today. Well, the climate is changing. We are entering another phase of autumn. It is getting colder by the day, and really, between this week and last week, we've lost a good 10 degrees. So it's definitely getting colder. Time to put on the winter jackets and all that. Cause yeah, I. Normally you would see me in a t-shirt. I think that maybe 7 days ago I had a tank top because I was so hot. Not the case today. Not the case today, yesterday, or the day before. No, I got this big kimono. Martial arts expert kimono, Japanese. Because it is super cold. Not super cold, we're not in the minus 40s yet, but the climate is changing and yeah, it's getting colder. And recently, we saw that a lot of the northern states of the US have had a lot of rain. So the planet is definitely trying to cool itself. And you can see flooding in the cities. I don't know how much of that is related to bad sewer systems development, implementation. Might need to hire some real engineers to figure that one out. To kind of avoid flooding because it's not a good thing. In one ways, it kind of needs to clean the streets, and on the other hand, you see a lot of debris floating around. So will that actually cause some more dirt and crap to be exposed all over the place? Usually, we think of the raining as washing everything down, but yeah, oh, it is getting colder. As they say in the Game of Thrones, winter is coming. So we have to prepare for that. Then I also learned something else today that might affect us. There's like, a couple of asteroids that come near planet Earth. And the last time we had one close, pretty close, NASA kind of sent out a probe to it to land on it. And it may or may not have changed its orbit, which may or may not be a good thing. But it's always good that we test these kinds of things because apparently there is this one asteroid that we call Bennu. Ben new because Ben is new to this, and this asteroid will come kind of close to us in the year 2035. So that's 11 years from now. I really don't know if humankind will last that long, but in any case, it'll come close to us. Close to a point where we kind of have to wonder where the gravity of that asteroid will affect the gravity of Earth. It could possibly change the orbit of Earth. So, once more, if that should happen, uh, well, Earth's orbit might change, and that also affects the way that the moon will interact with Earth. Could Earth live without its moon? I don't think so. I think there's going to be a few changes there. But even if so slightly, it should change the orbit. Then apparently Bennu will come back in 100 years after that. And in the year 2135, once again, will normally pass very close to the Earth. But then again, if the orbit changes in 2035, well, it could make it in sort that it would hit us in 2135. So give or take, Earth's climate will change either in 10 years, well, 11 years, or 111 years. Now, how do we fight this change? I don't know. Do we need to ask NASA to send out another probe hoping that it'll hit the asteroid and change its orbit? Would that make it better? Would that make it worse? I don't know. Maybe we just have to try and wait and see and find out. But it's always interesting stuff. It's maybe like a game of pool where we need to practice and eventually get it right. So as you can see, I have cats here that are having a lot of fun, just bothering me because they want something. Can anybody guess what they want? Well, as I was starting this feed, they kind of saw that the sun was peeking through the clouds, but now not so much. So for a moment, they're like, "Hey, the sun's coming out," and then they're like, "Nope, nope, sun's gone." So the climate keeps changing from every minute to minute. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. So how does these changes affect us? Well, they affect the cats and they affect the stream. So, and that's just on a small scale. Could you imagine on a bigger scale? So, should mankind go extinct, will the cats survive us? Or are they so dependent on us that, you know, if we go, they go? I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a question for the Almighty to answer us at some point. Now, in other news, because there's a lot of news, I was looking over the weekend and a lot of things were happening. So I was looking at the Canadian government response to all kinds of things because apparently all kinds of things are happening in the world. And apparently a lot of Canadians were at this rave party in Israel. And I don't know the number exact. It could be five, it could be more, it could be less, it could be 10. I don't know. Well, some of those Canadians passed away during the operation that a certain uh, faction from a neighboring state decided to do. So obviously, in the parliament, people were really saddened. And then we got to discover that there's probably, more than 100 hostages have been taken. And out of those 200, I think the number was 199, 199. not to reference geeks and gamers, just 199. Apparently, some of those would also be Canadians. So I think, I'm not sure, I think Canada is willing to give them money in exchange for those hostages. So that's a good thing, getting hostages back and, helping out different ideological factions, I guess. And also, not only in the States that we're seeing this, but we're also seeing this across Canada. A lot of the LGBTQRSA plus people are supporting this special operation that this faction from this area have done. So apparently, there's a lot of LGBTQ people in this faction, and that they needed support from over here. So, strangely enough, uh, I'm very confused by all of what I'm saying here. I don't know. I cannot verify these facts myself because I don't necessarily travel there. I'm just saying that, the news here is reporting that these people are supporting whatever's going on elsewhere. Whether that makes sense or not, personally, every time something happens, I have a feeling that there's somebody here in Canada that, tries to promote it to push their ideologies and their agenda. But that's always been the case. Whether, we're talking about climate change, and every time there's going to rain or snow or sun come out, the planet's going to say, see, the weather's changing, the climate's changing, and we need to do whatever we've been saying we need to do about it. Now, in other cases and in other subjects, finding out that something else is on the horizon. Now, I don't know how long these conflicts are going to go for. Obviously, as long as the weapon manufacturers are making money, it'll go on. But I guess at some point it'll kind of slow down. Eventually, we'll run out of people because a lot of people are dying. So I guess sales will, kind of dwindle down at some point. Uh, we need to get ready for the next phase of the global agenda. I don't know if we can call it that, but it's something that happens, that affects everybody on the planet. After the first pandemic, we said, we got to be ready for the next one. So, shortly after this conflict, no matter how it gets resolved, if it gets resolved, there's going to be this second wave of pandemic and rumors, and I stress this is just rumors. The laboratory in Wuhan are and have been working on this new virus that is much deadlier than the one that kind of escaped a couple of years ago. Apparently, this one, definitely will affect a third of the population. So hopefully, after once the third of the population passes away, we'll find a vaccine. And I guess my message today is just to start stocking up on those masks, just in case. I don't know if those masks will be any good against those things. Maybe we will need another kind of mask, but maybe we should start thinking about, stocking up on toilet paper, Kleenexes. Well, Kleenexes is out banned. And I'm pretty sure that we are on the, well, they're not very environmentally friendly. So I guess we're going to go back to tissues made out of fabrics that we can just wash and stuff to save the planet's pollution situation. And I'm not sure, but I think that there's talks also about banning toilet paper. Let me state this again. It's just a rumor. I don't know if this is any facts behind it, but it kind of makes sense that, we are, getting rid of a lot of trees to make toilet paper. So I think that the next appropriate um, phase in this would be to kind of get rid of toilet paper. Yeah, I know it kind of sounds strange because, but a lot of the planet inhabitants in other countries and stuff have found ways around it. It's just like it seems to be a very North American thing to use it. But, we've moved towards technology and we don't need as many paper as we used to. So, we have a lot more plastics and electronics and stuff in the dump sites now, not so much more of paper. Paper, biodegrades at some point. But, chopping trees is not a good thing. So, hopefully, you know, we'll come out with a ban on toilet paper to save the planet. I support that. I agree with that. I think that's the next step for the future. I mean, at some point, we are all going to have to do our part. Obviously, the rich will still be able to get theirs, just like they're still able to fly their jets and whatnot, even though the fuel prices and everything is skyrocketed. But, they represent a minority of the population, so it's okay that they do the things that they do. But the rest of the 99% of the population of planet, we are the ones, consuming all of these products. So therefore, it's just normal that we are the ones, having to go through the burden of having to deal with that. So, so that's a good thing. So even though I say stock up on toilet paper might be outlawed shortly. We'll see how that works out. But stock up on food, stock up on all the provisions, drinking water, maybe buy a generator, solar powered generator because the gas is too expensive to have gasoline in case the power goes out during the next pandemic because it is coming. They warned us after the first one that we need to be better prepared for the next one. So it used to be they would come every hundred of years or every 2 or 300 years, but now they're going to try to make it so that they give us as much as possible, so this one will be a lot more deadlier. Apparently, one third of the population will go. So, luckily, we are aware of this that's coming. So, time to get the masks out. Time to get our things and effects together. Start thinking about the future. Start thinking about your kids. Not sure that there's going to be a vaccine immediately, but hopefully, once they get it, everybody can get into lines to get their vaccines. Hopefully, there'll be enough vaccines. Hopefully, the government will have enough money to give the pharmaceuticals money to be able to produce the vaccines. Because let's face it, our government and our country is pretty much close to bankrupt here. And if that happens, I don't know who would be interested in buying it. I mean, there has to be, I don't know, maybe Elon Musk would want to buy Canada. After all, he did live here. He does have a Canadian citizenship. And obviously, there's not many people watching my stream live today, which brings me to another thing. With all of these conflicts and all of these climate changes and all of these pandemics floating around and viruses and all that, we need to control the information. Now, like I said, these are just hearsays that I've been hearing right, left, and center. I am not the scientist that I once was, so I cannot confirm or deny anything specific thing that I'm talking about. Even if I were to say that the sun goes up during the day and goes down during the night, we can't, you know, state that for a fact. And I have to deal with the YouTube algorithm. And then I have to deal with the censorship laws because there's certain things I can talk about and certain other things that I cannot. And then our government also put in some laws to regulate the internet and the flow of information. So I am not one of those big network companies working in the information. So obviously, everything I'm saying here, although may or may not be covered by big media, if you want to call it so, our government favors big media. I mean, our government's been giving a lot of monies to big media for the past since forever, but the budget just keeps going up bigger and bigger. So they want to kind of try to push that because it's their investment. So independent people such as myself not only have to deal with the local laws of our country, which is in my case Canada, that are trying to regulate the internet and trying to push the algorithm that our prime minister wants, but I also have to deal with YouTube's algorithm. And so, therefore, not many people are seeing my stream, my podcast, my whatever you want to call it. So, keep in mind, a lot of things are happening in the world. Time to put, our hats on. Time to wear our masks again. Try to get every single vaccine that you can get your hands on. Medical supplies, food supplies. Grab toilet paper before it's outlawed. And I don't want to say wear a tinfoil hat, but at this point in time, uh, it might just be a precautionary thing to do because I don't know how things are getting through this population, but they seem really nuts about stuff that's not important. I mean, you have a lot of these pronoun people, thinking that that is the major issue that we need to address. And already in the past 20, 30 minutes, I've addressed a couple of other things that we need to have a look on. I mean, if the planet is not here in 11 years, how is changing our pronouns gonna save us in the long run? So, I don't know is it aliens that are broadcasting things directly into the minds of these people that think that the pronouns is important? Would wearing a tinfoil hat protect us from these alien broadcasts? Maybe, I don't know. Let's just do it in case. Just in case that is the case. I mean, okay, we kind of look silly at first, but we'll get used to it. It's like wearing the mask. At first, we would laugh at people with masks, but then it kind of made sense, and everybody had masks. So we get used to this kind of thing. So everybody put on your tinfoil hat. Yes, it's going to look weird at first, but believe me, we'll get over it. It's like lipstick. We'll get used to it. So hopefully you found this stream extremely interesting, and hopefully you can stay tuned to the next one that will be tomorrow. In the meantime, I might put out a couple of videos, so have a look at those and have a safe journey on your existence on this planet. And I will see you in the next video, folks. Bye bye.